We've decided to let her go. She's just a burden. That's what my parents told the doctors while I lay in a hospital bed, broken, but very much alive. I'm Amanda Reynolds, 27, a tech manager, a survivor, and the daughter of two people who tried to kill me with silence. They thought I couldn't hear them, but I did. They didn't come to say goodbye. They came for my grandmother's $4.7 million estate. What they didn't know? I had already inherited it. And I had a plan. A plan that would make them wish I'd never opened my eyes. Have you ever felt betrayed by your own family? Tell me in the comments. And hit subscribe if you're ready for this story. My childhood never felt like home. My parents, James and Catherine Reynolds, were all about appearances. Dad was a corporate lawyer glued to his phone. Mom ran an upscale boutique and cared more about matching drapes than matching hearts. To them, I was an accessory, something to be displayed when convenient, ignored when not. Then came my younger brother Michael, the golden child. I was 6 when he was born, and overnight, I disappeared. While I brought home straight A's, Michael got rewarded for C's. When I won math competitions, silence. When Michael didn't wet the bed, ice cream party. Why can't you be more like your brother, Amanda? That sentence lived in the walls of our house. I heard it so often it became a lullaby. But the one person who never treated me like a disappointment was Grandma Eleanor, my father's mother. Her little house in the countryside was my refuge. She smelled like cinnamon and lavender, and she made me feel seen, really seen. "You're special, Amanda," she used to say. "Don't let anyone, especially your father, convince you otherwise." On my 18th birthday, she took me aside and said, "One day, everything I have will be yours. Build the life you deserve, not the one others expect." I didn't realize then how serious she was. I just remember feeling, for once, like someone was on my side. That love, it carried me through the years when my parents left me scraping by in college while they paid Michael's full tuition. I worked 3 jobs just to survive. They never offered help. I was invisible to them, until money was involved. After college, I was done waiting for validation that never came. I carved out my own path, landed a job at a Seattle tech startup called Tech Future. It wasn't law or medicine, so of course my parents acted like I was wasting my potential. But that didn't stop them from bragging about me to their friends when it made them look good. While they popped champagne over Michael making junior associate at Dad's law firm, I was quietly becoming one of the youngest product managers in the company, leading a team on a healthcare app that was actually changing lives. I barely heard from them, except for the annual Christmas dinner that always turned into a Michael highlight reel. My presence was tolerated. My success, ignored unless it benefited their image. The only family who ever asked how I was, really was Grandma Eleanor. We'd talk on weekends. She'd ask about my projects, my dreams, and always reminded me I was capable of anything. When I met Thomas, it felt like another piece of my life clicking into place. He was a software engineer I met at a tech conference. Smart, grounded, kind. He saw the real me, the parts I'd spent my life hiding or shrinking to make others comfortable. After 2 years together, we started talking about moving in, building a future. That night, we went out to celebrate a major win. My presentation had wowed the CEO. He hinted a promotion was coming. Thomas toasted me over dinner. "To the smartest, fiercest woman I know. You're extraordinary, Amanda." I remember smiling the whole drive home, the rain tapping gently on the windshield. Then headlights. Too fast, too close. A drunk driver slammed into me at full speed. My car spun out, rolled, and dropped down an embankment. I remember the glass, the metal, the darkness, and then, nothing. When I finally opened my eyes, everything hurt. Tubes, wires, blinking monitors. A nurse named Sarah offered me ice chips while a doctor explained the damage. Broken legs, fractured arm, crushed ribs, a punctured lung. Emergency surgeries. Months of recovery ahead. But I was alive. And when I whispered Thomas's name, Sarah smiled. "He's been here every day. We had to force him to rest." What she didn't say out loud, I could see it in her face, was that no one else had come. When I asked about my parents, her smile faded. They came, briefly. Later that night, I heard voices outside my hospital door. I pretended to be asleep. It was them, my parents. She's sedated, Dr. Carter said, but with proper care, she'll recover. Then my father's voice, cold and cutting. Let's be realistic, doctor. Amanda's always been a burden. Just let her go. I stopped breathing. Dr. Carter pushed back, said I had a good chance, that treatment was working. My mother added smoothly, perhaps extraordinary measures aren't necessary. With Eleanor's passing, we're overwhelmed. That's when it hit me. Grandma Eleanor was dead, and no one had told me. They weren't here to check on me. They were here for the inheritance. I heard every word as they planned for my funeral, talked about who would handle my affairs, as if I was already gone. The second they left the room, I broke. A nurse, Stephanie, rushed in. She saw the monitors going wild, the tears in my eyes. My parents want me dead, I whispered. For money. She didn't pretend. She didn't say, you must be confused. She sat beside me and said, they don't deserve to be called your parents. But you're not done yet. That was the moment I made my decision. I would not die for them. I would live, to make sure they paid for everything. I didn't wait to heal. I strategized. With Stephanie's help, the hospital marked me as intermittently conscious in the system. Technically true. But to my parents? I was still out cold. Dr. Carter, furious after overhearing their cold dismissal, became an unlikely ally. He documented everything. My awareness. My improving cognition. His medical notes would become my first weapon. Thomas came back, and I told him everything. The betrayal, Grandma Eleanor's death, the inheritance I knew nothing about. Until now. He brought me a tablet, and buried in my unread emails was a message from Rachel Wilson, attorney for my grandmother's estate. I was the sole beneficiary. Everything, her home, her investments, her savings, was mine, valued at $4.7 million. It all made sense now. Why they'd left me in that hospital bed hoping I'd die. Because if I had, my father would likely get it all. Thomas contacted Rachel, who confirmed my father had already tried to take control of the estate, claiming I was too ill to respond. But she held firm, just like Grandma Eleanor would have wanted. That's when we began building the case. Stephanie alerted us when my parents returned, this time with Michael. I played the role of the barely conscious daughter perfectly, even as they stood by my bed plotting conservatorship. I heard them say it all. If she stays like this, James can petition for control. We'll tell her Eleanor left the estate to Michael. She won't remember. Thomas recorded everything from the corner of the room. Once they left, I looked him dead in the eyes. Send it to Rachel. Over the next 3 weeks, while my body healed through relentless therapy, Rachel locked down the estate. I signed everything from a secure tablet. Every dollar, every property, gone from their reach. And when I was finally discharged, we didn't tell them. The system said I'd gone to a rehab facility. In truth, I went to Thomas's, where he'd remodeled his apartment to be wheelchair accessible. They thought I was comatose, but I was coming for them, with the full force of truth, evidence, and a lawyer who didn't scare easily. The confrontation happened exactly 1 month after the accident. Rachel called a formal meeting. My parents walked into her office expecting a dazed, broken daughter they could manipulate. What they got was me. Standing. Strong. Cane in one hand, steel in my spine. Their jaws dropped. Before we begin, I said, let's listen to something. Thomas pressed play. Their voices echoed across the room. If Amanda stays incapacitated, James can take over the estate. Let her go. She's always been a burden. They turned pale. My mother gasped. My father lunged for the tablet, but it was too late. The estate has already been transferred, Rachel said calmly. Everything has been sold, and Amanda has full control. I looked them dead in the eye. You left me to die. You refused to pay for my care. You plotted to steal what wasn't yours. And now, you get nothing. They threatened lawsuits. I handed them a folder full of evidence, recordings, medical evaluations, and signed statements from hospital staff. You try to come after me, this goes public, I said, and the world will know what kind of people you really are. They left speechless. I never saw them again. Today, I run Resilience Technologies, using part of my inheritance to help hospitals better protect patients like me. I donated $500,000 to the hospital that saved my life and started a foundation in Grandma Eleanor's name. She gave me the means to choose a different path. And I did. Not revenge, freedom, because the best payback is thriving in the life they tried to steal. Have you ever had to rebuild from betrayal? Tell me in the comments. And if this story resonated with you, like and subscribe to Echoes of Life. You're not alone, and you never were.